everyone, welcome to Top Rankers. I'm your mentor and guide Brenda, and today in this session, we will take a look at a critical skill for every IPMAT aspirant, and this one is called How to Read the Newspapers Effectively. Now, before we delve deep into the topic, let us understand certain other basics, such as why is reading newspaper important? What all important newspapers can we refer to? And what all do we learn when we read the newspapers? I guess let's get started. Now, let's begin with why is reading newspaper important? Well, see, reading a newspaper is an essential skill because it helps you improve your English, it improves your general knowledge, and it helps you improve your logical thinking skills. Let us understand how. Now, see, the logic is fairly simple. Newspaper reading is a fairly important skill to develop if you're planning to write any entrance test for that matter. See, the newspapers they provide uh, diversified topics to you. So when you start reading the newspapers, you eventually improve your general knowledge because you get to read about the current issues. You get to know what's happening in and around the country. So when you read about these things, your general knowledge improves. Now think about it. You will not just be writing a paper, you will be facing an interview as well. So when you're reading a newspaper, you're preparing for both the aspects simultaneously. Now, when you read a newspaper, you come across complex text. So, reading this complex text and simple text sometimes will help you build your vocabulary and it will eventually improve your comprehension skills. Now, when you read certain sections such as editorial and the op-ed section of a newspaper, you get to understand the perspective of these sections because these are written by experts. So you get to form an opinion, an informed opinion on certain current issues that are happening in and sometimes around the world as well. So it helps you build a lot without you consciously even understanding. Now, reading the newspaper will be important because it will improve your comprehension, it will improve your reading speed, it will improve your vocabulary, it will improve your critical thinking, and of course, you will improve your current affairs because you will know what's happening around you. It's a very important skill to develop, especially if you're planning to write any entrance test in anytime soon. Now, there are some newspapers to refer to begin with, the Hindu, the Indian Express, maybe you can refer to BBC News, and even the Guardian. Now, these are some good newspapers that can be referred to. The list can be long, but to begin, you could start reading these newspapers. These provide authentic, genuine content to all the readers, and it caters to a wide variety of audience and readers. Now let's understand what all to focus on when you start reading a newspaper. Now, see, understand the newspaper caters to a wide variety of audience and readers. So it offers a variety of news. Now, being uh, IPMAT or other BBA entrance test aspirants, you really don't have to read everything that the newspaper provides. There are certain sections that can be read and there are certain that can be skipped. So when you start reading a newspaper, probably focus on, I'm sorry, the front page news, national, international news, maybe legal news, business and sports related news. The editorial and the op-ed section are especially the sections that you should refer to because these are most informative sections because for the stated reasons. Now, see, when you start reading, um, since we know that the newspaper will provide you a variety of information, there are certain sections that will give you in-depth knowledge of certain areas. So, for example, the editorial and the op-ed section. These are written by either the editors of the publication or people who are experts in their field. So you get to see the opinion of experts generally on the latest happenings in and around the world. So you get an in-depth analysis and diversified perspective on the current issues. So when you read the national and the international news, you get to know about the government policies, the social and the political issues happening in the country. You get to know about the global events, the international treaties, policies, and whatnot. It also offers diversified news on a lot of other aspects, such as business, politics, economics, even sports. So when you read these sections, you actually get to read one, diversified articles, and you get a perspective on a lot of different things, which is really, really useful in your preparation. Now, what to look for when you start reading? So there are certain sections that should be read, and there are certain that should be avoided. So maybe you can look for national, international, even state news. You can look for economics and business related news. You can read environment, science, technology, defense, space, awards, honors, significant days. So these are the sections that you should look for when you start reading. And the sections that you should avoid are generally political controversies and statements, maybe local news, maybe news around Hollywood, Bollywood, lifestyle feature, or even entertainment news. Now, these news will be written in very casual language, and these can easily be avoided, and you won't have so much time to cover each and every aspect of the newspaper because you have only so much time being students, right? Now, how will reading newspaper help you in your examination? Now, see, when you read newspaper, you need to develop certain skills. So you need to understand what skimming and scanning. So skimming is an art when you quickly glance through the information, only looking for the main idea. And scanning is when you look for specific information. So probably you look for just the names, just the dates, and anything which is more important than the other things. So putting the two skills together, when you read, you skim and you scan. So when you skim, you pick up the important points, the thought of the writer, the main idea of the writer, and when you scan, you pick up all the other important, significant information. Now put this together, you can make notes. So when you start reading, let's say there are two paragraphs in the passage or the article that you're reading, you skim, you understand what the writer wants to tell you. You scan, you get to know about all the important, relevant information. Now you make notes. Now, always, whenever you start reading, always have a pencil in your hand, maybe a dedicated notebook with you. So you can probably make notes. You can use abbreviations, you can use symbols. You just pick up the most important points. Maybe you highlight the most important points when you start reading. This is the right way of reading a newspaper, that you critically read it, you engage with the passage, you understand the thought of the writer, you pick up anything which is more important than the other things. You understand what the writer wanted to tell you through his passage, or what was the takeaway of the article, what was the central idea. So, this is what you do when you want to read effectively. Now, reading effectively will have various advantages. You will be able to build your vocab because you'll come across new words. So, once you're done reading, you can make a note of these new words. Probably you can Google them, or maybe you can look up the dictionary and write the meaning of these words, probably build clusters around them. You will be able to read the, you will be able to understand the contextual meaning of the words. Now, a lot of times, the meaning of the word, the literal meaning of the word, and the contextual meaning, that is the way it is used in a given sentence, may vary a little. So, and this happens all the time. So, when you read critically, you will understand the contextual meaning of the word, which may vary or may differ slightly from its actual meaning. So, you will be able to build your vocabulary. You will be able to see how a word can be used in a variety of ways. Maybe you can play with the language a little and construct your own sentences once you're done reading. Now, you will learn the art of summarization, which is a very important skill. See, essentially, the English section of any entrance test tests the students on reading comprehension skills. And reading comprehension skill essentially is about how well you can logically understand what's given and how well you can summarize the given information. Now, if at all you manage to discuss whatever you've read with the people around you, you will realize that you will be able to not only comprehend but deliver the given context in simplest language. In fact, it's said that if at all you can read a complex or maybe simple text and explain it to a 12-year-old and able to make him understand the given text, that means you've done the job right. So these are the ways you can read effectively and get the most of a given newspaper. Now, to read effectively, there are certain important things that you have to bear in mind. Number one, Try to read the newspaper at a specific time, maybe sometime in the beginning of the day when you are fresh, you're alert, and you're able to, get the most of the news or the words that you're reading. So be consistent, have a specific time in a day, a dedicated time in a day when you sit and read the newspaper. You should read a newspaper for maybe 40 to 50 minutes or maybe an hour and a half. You should devote at least this much time, and you should be consistent in your effort. You're reading for 3 days and then you're skipping for next 3 days, probably is not the right strategy to follow. So when you start reading, and if you start reading today or maybe first thing tomorrow morning, make sure that you're consistent. Reading the newspapers will actually help you pave the way to your success. You will improve a very crucial section of your entrance test, that is the verbal ability section, which is essentially based on good vocabulary, good grammar, and good reading comprehension skills. Reading newspaper is essential. Start today. All the best.